there's also some breaking news inside the debate, which is interesting, Will, is that Harris herself, we thought they wanted the mics on because they wanted the Donald Trump of the first debate versus Joe Biden. This is back in the last election cycle, so for the 2020 cycle, where you could constantly hear kind of Donald Trump rumbling, grumbling, or saying, that's wrong, that's a lie, because his mic was just on enough, so where it sounded like he was constantly cutting or trying to cut Joe Biden off. And in fact, it was Harris who wanted the mics on because she wanted to try and cut Donald Trump off and try and fact check him live, which again would have dangerously, I think, she may have gotten saved here, actually, folks, because it would have made her look like she was trying to cut Donald Trump off when it was his time to talk.
That's right. And the American people do like a degree of decorum in these things. They want to see kind of a brawl on stage, but they also want it to not just be a complete chaotic mess where they can't understand what's going on. And Politico reported that the Harris advisors are scrambling to rewrite their playbook because they, even to the 11th hour, were trying to push for a rule change where mics would be left on the entire time. ABC declined to do that. They stayed with the agreed upon rules, but they're reporting the reason why they're scrambling to rewrite their strategy is because Kamala Harris planned to object, fact check, and directly question Donald Trump while he was speaking during the debate. So almost taking a playbook from President Trump in 2020. And honestly, that checks out because the Harris campaign has been taking playbook from Donald Trump this entire short campaign, whether it be the border wall, no taxes on tips. Now it looked like she was trying to mimic his debate strategy that was widely panned for President Trump in 2020 when he seemed aggressive, interrupting, and chaotic on the debate stage. I agree with you. I think the ABC may have saved the Harris campaign from themselves by keeping this rule in place.
We know that there will not be opening statements, that there will be a couple of commercials. There's no live audience like the first debate. Again, you have to remind yourself there was a first presidential debate, and that President Trump just did too well and delivered the death blow to Joe Biden's presidential campaign and re-election campaign. The microphones will remain muted when a candidate isn't speaking, so it's your turn not to talk, since we were talking about. The two candidates will have under 2 minutes to deliver closing statements. President Trump will go last. That was done by a coin flip. It was not because he's a former president or something like that. So that was just done by coin flip. So there's the kind of basic setup. It's ABC News. It's David Muir and someone from ABC News. What's her name again?
Her name is Lindsay Davis from ABC Live Prime.
Live Prime. So again, a lot of people know David Muir. I don't know if they know Lindsay Davis. But remember, sometimes the host can become the focus of these debate as well, the debate host, depending on how they ask the questions and how they kind of treat the candidates on stage. So there's a lot of pressure on them. Tulsi Gabbard is joining us now. And Tulsi, of course, has got debate experience with Harris, as well as doing debate prep, some prep, and some passing on some knowledge to President Trump as well. Tulsi, at first, just kind of what you think the ACLJ audience and the audience of the secular broadcast should be looking out for tonight. This is an audience that is likely going to be tuning in. They're going to stick with it. They know the issues, but they're also kind of looking for the quirks that they should be looking out for tonight. What do you think?
I think it's important to look at the premise of this debate. ABC is going to try to create this as many political, theatric, dramatic moments as possible in this debate. We've looked at the research of the two ABC moderators. We know that they're going to be extremely biased against Donald Trump and be helping Kamala Harris. The comments that they've made their bias known very publicly. I think as we're watching this debate tonight, we'll be able to notice the difference in the approach that both of these candidates have taken. I'll use myself as an example. First of all, I am by no means a practiced or experienced or expert debater. I was never in debate club in high school. I hadn't had any training. My debates in the presidential election were really the most debates I had ever had in my entire life. But my exchange with Kamala Harris was very simple. It was just based on calling her out on her hypocrisy with regard to what she says, contrasting with her actions and the record that she claims to be proud of.
I want to bring the conversation back to the broken criminal justice system that is disproportionately negatively impacting Black and brown people all across this country today. Now, Senator Harris says she's proud of her record as a prosecutor and that she'll be a prosecutor president, but I'm deeply concerned about this record. There are too many examples to cite, but she put over 1,500 people in jail for marijuana violations and then laughed about it when she was asked if she ever smoked marijuana. She blocked evidence. She blocked evidence that would have freed an innocent man from death row until the courts forced her to do so. She kept people in prison beyond their sentences to use them as cheap labor for the state of California. And she fought to keep cash bail system in place that impacts poor people in the worst kind of way.
So tonight what we'll see in this debate is Kamala Harris, who has spent the last week locked up in her hotel room in Pittsburgh, taking acting classes, having acting coaches, having a room that's set up like a TV set with lights and a stage with a stand-in actor playing Donald Trump. She is training for the performance of her lifetime, and that's exactly what it is. Contrast that with Donald Trump, and I've been spending quite a bit of time with him over these last few weeks. Donald Trump is Donald Trump. You may not like the way he says things. You may really love the way he says things, but you'll see Donald Trump tonight on the debate stage in the same way that you see him at a rally or in any one of the 34-plus interviews that he's done. To Kamala's one interview, he will speak his mind. He will talk about his record versus Kamala Harris's record. She's the incumbent in this race. And he's going to talk about how the future that he will bring about really is centered around fixing what Kamala Harris and Joe Biden has broken and getting our country back to a country where we can live and thrive in a free and peaceful and prosperous society.
The interesting part is, yes, you talk about the difference in debate prep and the styles. People are pretty used to Donald Trump now. I think even people who are not sure if they again, who they're going to vote for, they know who Donald Trump is kind of going to be like tonight. And I think if he's the Donald Trump that was similar to who took on Joe Biden, and listen, Harris is not going to be exactly like Joe Biden, like he was struggling throughout the entire night. But there were moments when Trump stepped in and said, let's stop acting like children, and really took it back to serious points. So if you're trying to talk about, these kind of, needling kind of moments that don't matter, he stepped in a couple of those last time President Trump did and stopped the debate over that. And I think a lot of people actually noticed that and said, well, this guy is actually more serious than sometimes you may think. So I do think you look out for moments like this. A lot of people are building this up as the most important debate since the last debate. What do you think, Tulsi?
Well, unfortunately, this may be the only debate since President Trump debated President Biden, which quite frankly, when we look throughout history and the effectiveness of debates, Joe Biden dropped out of the race because of President Trump and how that debate went. So the stakes are high with this debate because it may be the only time that voters get to see Donald Trump and Kamala Harris side by side. Now, it's important to point out that, and President Trump said the other day at a rally, he said, hey, even if I do great at this debate, the mainstream propaganda media is going to say that he was a disaster. And Kamala Harris had the debate performance of her life. So the outcome is somewhat rigged. But really what Kamala Harris is planning for, and she should not be underestimated, she's gone in and done a lot of preparation for this. According to her own team, she will put out a performance where she will present to voters what she wants them to see. What we as voters and viewers need to remember as she is delivering an acting performance is that it is just that. She is trying to create this vision for us of something that's not true and is actually diametrically opposed to her radical, extreme record and the positions that she has, what she really believes, and frankly, what she will actually do as president. I think it's very telling when CNN now over the last couple of days have issued two separate stories that have been quite scathing on Kamala Harris, not because they're being extra critical. They're just saying, here's her record. And the story that came out yesterday was finding that in an ACLU survey that she completed in 2019 when she was running for president, is that she wants us as taxpayers to fund transgender sex change surgeries for illegal immigrants in detention in our country. It said many other things that were quite disturbing in that questionnaire, but there's a lot of truth that voters are not aware of yet about who Kamala Harris is and how dangerous she will be if she is elected as president. I'm looking forward to hearing how President Trump keeps reminding voters over and over and over again about Kamala Harris's record, because that's really where the truth lies.
Yeah, I would think too, Tulsi. I mean, listen, Harris has a lower bar than Trump. I think he's correct in the sense that if the media can do it with a straight face, they will always come out and say the person on the left, the far left, like Harris, won the debate. Now, we saw there are times when it's so bad, like the Biden debate, that they can't do that. But I think expecting that to happen tonight, again, you can't expect that to happen every single debate cycle. And so I think for Trump supporters to also, and those who are watching this debate kind of in the middle right now, not sure who to vote for, is you have to put that aside a little bit, because you don't see many debates where even the mainstream media, like we did that night, really threw their hands up in the air and said, yeah, Donald Trump, destroyed Joe Biden.